Hello everyone. Today I'd like to share with you a very special concept, emotional resilience. This idea comes from a book by the Japanese author Watanabe Junichi. I read it many years ago, and even though I haven't opened that book again since then, its core principles have stayed deeply engraved in my mind. In both life and work, I constantly remind myself to practice and embody the spirit of emotional resilience. So, what exactly is emotional resilience? Put simply, it is the ability to focus more on yourself rather than being overly concerned with the outside world. It means caring about your own feelings rather than obsessing over the judgments of others. It's the capacity to let go of stubborn ego in order to search for the truth about yourself. To put it more plainly, people with strong emotional resilience often appear to have thicker skin, but in reality, to have such thick skin, they must possess a strong heart and emotional stability. People with strong resilience don't dwell too much on small matters, and that, in itself, is a sign of inner strength. Personally, I am a very sensitive person. My sensitivity has given me moments of overwhelming joy, but it has also caused me to exaggerate negative emotions far more easily than most people. Sensitivity is a gift, but you must understand everything in life has its limits. A cup of water, when full, will spill. A moon, when full, must wane. That's why controlling your sensitivity is crucial. And this is where emotional resilience becomes so important. The essence of emotional resilience lies in the ability to face difficulties and wounds in life with calmness, instead of overreacting with excessive sensitivity. The key point is balance between calmness and overreaction. In today's society, pressure is everywhere. From financial struggles to cutthroat corporate environments, from manipulative social relationships to endless competition, these pressures seep into every corner of our being, like viruses wearing down our health and spirit. This is why emotional resilience is like a lubricant for life, a hidden lever that helps us lift the heavy realities we face. Emotional resilience also emphasizes that intentional resilience is not just a skill, but a power, one that allows people to unlock and express their true potential. I completely agree with this view. Most successful people I've observed possess this rare kind of wisdom. They don't get caught up in trivialities. They know when to hold on and when to let go. The reason I bring up emotional resilience again today is because recently, I've witnessed growing unease at workplaces and rising tensions in human relationships. For example, a friend of mine shared a story. Her boss has had several assistants quit within a very short time. One of the latest assistants even said that he needed a few months to recover before he could search for another job. When I asked more, I learned that this boss was extremely hot-tempered, impatient, and had no hesitation in criticizing his assistants publicly. Now, I don't support that kind of behavior. But here's the thing. If a person is too sensitive and takes criticism too personally, those words can easily turn into powerful weapons against them. That assistant who claimed he needed months to recover is a clear example of just how deeply emotional wounds can scar a person. And this is exactly what emotional resilience teaches us. Without cultivating this strength, we become fragile in the face of life's inevitable storms. But with it, we develop the calmness, stability, and inner power needed not only to survive, but to thrive. People with strong emotional resilience are not easily shaken by trivial matters. Their flexibility and sharpness come to life when they stop being disturbed by small things. That's when they can truly succeed and become winners. This reminds me of a boss I deeply admire. Despite being under immense pressure and constantly facing demands from his superiors, he always manages to remain calm. My boss has the ability to understand the hidden intentions behind his higher-ups' words, but he never lets those affect him. The next day, he comes to work cheerful, energetic, and fully engaged as if nothing ever happened. This, to me, is a perfect example of strong emotional resilience. Not only does he have excellent mental health, but his physical health is equally remarkable. While many of his younger colleagues suffer from lifestyle-related illnesses, he remains strong, enjoys his meals, and his health checkups always show great results. What's fascinating is that he doesn't even exercise much. According to the philosophy of emotional resilience, the key to good health is ensuring that blood flows smoothly throughout the body. That's why, when you sit and think, don't get lost in endless overthinking. Even when someone says unpleasant things to you, listen, let it pass, and leave no trace of it in your mind. This very ability to filter out negativity is what helps the blood flow freely and keeps the body healthy. My boss often says, don't think too much, just live your life well. Isn't that the secret behind his long-lasting strength and smooth circulation of energy and vitality? To me, he is truly an ideal role model. The writer and essayist Lam Tan Huyen, whom I greatly admire, once said, "In life, misfortunes usually make up about 8 parts, while joys only take up 2. So, be grateful for even 1 or 2 good things." This is a saying I will remember forever. So, what are the characteristics of people with strong emotional resilience? First, they don't care too much about the judgments of others. When making decisions or taking action, they think primarily about their own feelings and well-being. They don't waste time worrying about what others think, nor do they obsess over how others evaluate them. Instead, they focus on themselves and the present task. It reminds me of Haruki Murakami's words, "Not all fish live in the same ocean. Others, and you belong to entirely different worlds. Your life has nothing to do with theirs." The irony is this: when you live poorly, some people may pity you, but when you live well, it's as if you've stepped on their tails. They instantly react with hostility. Second, they have more stable emotions. In his book, Watanabe Junichi mentions that emotional resilience may sometimes make you appear slow or even foolish in the eyes of others, but in reality, this is a wise way to live. The hallmark of such people is that when facing problems, they slow down, they stay calm. When something troubling happens, they don't rush to react, they think carefully first. In conflict or arguments, they restrain themselves and step back. Why? Because science shows that when a person gets angry, if they can hold back for just the first 90 seconds, the emotion will begin to settle. Most impulsive actions happen within that 90-second window. The more you dwell on anger, the stronger it grows. The more you replay the hurt, the deeper it cuts. But if you can remain patient in those first moments, you regain your balance. And that, my friends, is one of the greatest gifts of emotional resilience. Impulsive actions are often the result of overreaction, but for those with strong emotional resilience, their reaction circle is much wider. They are less sensitive, less anxious, not in a rush, and less likely to feel pressured. Third, they tend to have a shorter memory for grudges. People with strong emotional resilience don't hold hatred in their hearts. In other words, even if they get angry in the moment, a good meal or a shift in focus is often enough for them to regain joy. They don't cling to sadness, nor do they allow unimportant people to occupy their minds. On the surface, they may appear carefree, but that is precisely the reason they live better and find success more easily. So, how can we cultivate stronger emotional resilience? First, let go of the spotlight effect. What is the spotlight effect? It's the belief that you are the center of the universe, the focus of everyone's attention. In reality, you're not as important in the eyes of others as you might think. People don't care that much about what you wear, what you say, or what you do. Their impression of you quickly fades with time. Yes, you may be the subject of gossip for a while, but soon after, you'll be forgotten, tucked away in the corners of their minds. To strengthen emotional resilience, you must realize that you're not as central in others' eyes as you assume. Second, be more patient. If you fail the first time, try again. If you fail an exam, keep studying. If you don't learn it today, repeat tomorrow. Patience is essential. Slow down your pace. The more you rush, the easier it is to make mistakes. The more mistakes you make, the more anxious you become, and anxiety only leads to self-destruction from within. Third, separate yourself from others. Stay away from negative people. They only drain and obstruct you. Avoid petty-minded individuals because they know nothing but envy and schemes. Don't worry about others' judgments. Remind yourself, they don't pay my salary. I don't live off them. So why should my actions concern them? Let the strong remain strong, like a gentle wind brushing across a high mountain. Let the arrogant remain arrogant, like the bright moon shining down on a river. What others think is not important. What matters is what you think. Respect your own emotions, moods, and needs. When you can distance yourself from the noise of others, you begin to find your true self. Fourth, ignore the noise. We live in an era overflowing with noise. Noise from social media, from the endless chatter of people around us, it all disrupts our values and judgment. If you pay too much attention to external noise, you will become restless and anxious. I believe the best approach is simple. Don't lose yourself in your phone or in the infinite stream of information. Scrolling all day is more exhausting than working because it drains your energy. Instead, channel your precious energy into things that truly matter. Remember, external noise is just a reference. If it doesn't bring you joy, don't let it in. Life is about being honest with yourself. Filter out unimportant sounds and use your sensitivity wisely for the people and causes that truly deserve it. Fifth, eliminate the habit of oversensitivity and overinterpretation. Tell me, Do you ever have the habit of trying to guess what others are thinking? Have you ever found yourself overanalyzing, imagining meanings that may not even exist? This habit may seem harmless, but in reality, it consumes your mental energy and weakens your resilience. Sometimes, a single careless remark from someone else can stay in our heads all day. The more we dwell on it, the more we overthink, and the heavier we feel. Trying to guess what others are thinking is one of the fastest paths to inner exhaustion. In fact, the more you guess, the more likely you are to fall into distorted or extreme assumptions. And let's be honest, even we ourselves don't fully understand our own hearts at times. So how can we ever truly guess the minds of others? That's why I say, stop guessing, stop overthinking, just ask directly. Hey, did I say something wrong today? Is that why you're upset? Trust me, the moment you ask, you'll feel much lighter. Or, try shifting your perspective. Instead of obsessing about what others think, slow down your nervous system and turn your attention inward. You'll quickly realize that happiness was already there within you. But remember, emotional resilience does not mean becoming numb or indifferent. It is not about ignoring life. It is about not allowing the chaos of the outside world to easily shake you. It's about maintaining a calm attitude toward whatever comes. Whenever I catch myself overthinking, I force myself to redirect my focus. Over time, I've discovered that life becomes lighter, more peaceful, because nothing can truly hurt me, and nothing is really worth losing sleep over. Most people and events outside of us cannot harm us unless we let them. And in truth, many of them have nothing to do with us at all. Someone once said, most problems in life can be solved with just two questions. Does this concern you? Does this concern me? At first, it may sound blunt or even rude, but behind it lies a profound philosophy. It reminds us that in many situations, what truly matters is our own perception and feelings, because that is the real key to achieving what we want. This way of thinking fits perfectly with the principle of emotional resilience. As its name suggests, resilience is the ability not to let external judgments and pressures dictate your inner state. It helps us focus on our inner world, on personal growth. In today's society, external expectations and constant pressure surround us. They can easily breed anxiety and insecurity. But if we train ourselves in emotional resilience, we can protect our inner world from the noise outside. At the same time, resilience is about balance in mindset and in self-worth. When we realize that we don't need to obsess over what others think, we gain the confidence to be ourselves. And no, that doesn't mean becoming cold or uncaring. It means knowing when to stand up for our feelings and opinions, even if that sometimes leads to conflict. A crucial part of practicing resilience is learning to distinguish what is worth our concern and what should be let go. Once we master this, we reduce unnecessary troubles and save our energy for what truly matters. This mindset not only benefits our personal development, but also enhances our performance in careers and relationships. 7th, build confidence. For a long time, I used to compare myself with others, and it wasn't just me. My parents also compared me to others from the time I was a child. I grew up in the shadow of the so-called model children. In school, in career, in relationships, I always felt they were better than me. Looking at myself, I often thought I was worthless. The more I compared, the more anxious I became. And the more anxious I became, the more I felt drained from the inside out. But the truth is, comparison is unnecessary. Why? Because who decided that at 20, you must achieve certain things? Who wrote the rule that at 30, you must reach a specific milestone? And who can say what is enough for you? In the end, all of us share the same destination in life. So why should your life be a copy of someone else's? If life were a game, you might be playing Arena of Valor while I'm playing PUBG. How could those even be compared? Some people quit stable jobs at 30 to travel the world. Others choose to go back to school at 40 to expand their horizons. Everyone's timing is different. And when we broaden our perspective, we see more clearly what truly matters. This understanding not only helps us manage our emotions, but also sharpens our ability to deal with complex challenges, because not every small thing deserves our time and energy. With resilience, we can focus on what truly counts. Sometimes, we need to remind ourselves that controlling a situation takes both time and patience. In life and at work, we often face challenges that demand consistent effort and ongoing attention. By maintaining patience, we handle situations more calmly and strategically, and eventually, we reach our goals. That's why broadening our perspective is so essential. It not only helps us understand and manage current problems better, but also builds a solid foundation for long-term success. This is the reason why keeping a wider view is crucial when facing challenges and why patience, along with time, are indispensable factors in pursuing any meaningful goal. Ninth principle: finding direction in life. Many times, we feel sensitive and easily hurt, simply because we put too much value on external judgments. It seems as though only when we receive positive feedback from others do we find the motivation to keep moving. But relying on other people's evaluations to guide our lives is unstable. It causes us to lose both control and our true sense of direction. A life without goals easily falls into blind effort or aimless living. That's why finding your life's direction is so important. Ask yourself regularly, who do I want to become? Write down all your goals. Then, narrow them down by eliminating what doesn't truly matter until only the most important goal remains. That one reflects the deepest desire within your heart. Once you identify that direction, confusion fades and motivation grows stronger. When we commit ourselves and stay consistent with our goals, no longer relying on outside approval for motivation, life becomes calmer and more secure. With inner drive as our fuel, we walk our path with greater confidence, achieving true personal growth and lasting fulfillment. 10th principle: the art of smart response. When people criticize us as being too sensitive or give harsh judgments, the most important thing is to stay calm. Overreacting only reveals inner instability and weakness. So, when faced with criticism, the first step is self-reflection. Is there some truth in what was said? If yes, then we should honestly accept it and learn from it. If not, then we need to stay composed and firmly express our stance. Managing emotions is a challenge everyone must face. When emotions feel overwhelming, try applying a method I call psychological detachment. Step outside of the current situation for a moment and look at your reactions as if you were an outsider. This helps you recognize your emotional state more clearly and manage it more effectively. In relationships, whether in love, friendship, or family, lowering expectations of others is also a powerful strategy. Too many expectations often lead to disappointment and dissatisfaction. But when we learn to accept people and situations as they are, without demanding too much, we lighten our emotional burden, and with that, life becomes simpler, lighter, and much more joyful. At the same time, building a positive social circle is vital for both emotional balance and personal growth. Surround yourself with people who are optimistic, energetic, resilient, generous, supportive, emotionally stable, full of vitality, financially steady, and who love life and love sports. These qualities have a profound influence on us. They shape the way we live, inspire us to stay strong, and help us cultivate a lifestyle that is both healthy and effective. And finally, always remember this: the journey of life is a process of discovery and self-improvement. Through constant learning and personal growth, we become stronger, more confident, and better prepared to face any challenge. This not only helps us manage our emotions more effectively, but also allows us to live a life that feels more complete and deeply fulfilling. If we consider high sensitivity to be an inborn trait, then emotional resilience, or what I call the power of detachment, is a skill that must be cultivated. In love, using this power effectively means learning to embrace and soften our partner's flaws so that understanding and forgiveness can grow. This skill is absolutely vital for building relationships that are not only lasting, but also deeply nurturing. In the workplace, resilience becomes even more important. Everyone makes mistakes, and everyone has different levels of tolerance. Work environments are often filled with complex relationships and conflicts. Those with resilience know how to navigate these challenges with clarity and stability, maintaining not only their balance, but also their success. It's essential to realize that inside each of us, there is still a child who needs care and protection. That child is ourselves. In the busyness and challenges of daily life, don't forget to protect and nurture your inner world. By cultivating resilience, we can face the outside world with calmness and confidence, while also finding peace and contentment within. Most people, when criticized, feel discouraged and withdraw. This is especially true for those who grew up in comfortable environments, who were not used to failure or harsh words. Just a few criticisms can make them lose spirit and collapse. But resilience, emotional stability, and the ability to maintain joy in life are deeply connected. I've observed that many older people who remain healthy and full of life do so because they don't let the words of others weigh too heavily on them. They might hear a comment or two, but they simply let it pass without allowing it to sink in. Sometimes, This may look like stubbornness, but in truth, this very quality is the secret to maintaining their health and vitality. My grandfather was a perfect example. Throughout his life, he never let material gains or losses disturb his joy or sorrow. And if it hadn't been for illness, I believe he would have lived even longer. This wisdom is something worth holding on to. As for myself, I used to be hesitant and indecisive. But once I began practicing resilience, I realized that when we lack confidence or are trapped in hesitation, no amount of overthinking will ever bring clarity. In those moments, what we truly need is to cut off unnecessary thoughts and move forward boldly with confidence. There's a saying that left a deep impression on me. In this world, it's not only sharpness or intelligence that defines human talent. More than that, the ability to remain calm amidst disturbances is the most fundamental talent of all. Only when we cultivate resilience can our sensitivity and intelligence truly shine as strengths guiding us on the path of life. Looking at myself, I admit I'm not exceptionally smart. But staying calm, not letting distractions shake me, that is something I can train through practice. And so, I'm walking this path of training. One book I read once mentioned that most of our troubles come from our relationships with others. When we face jealousy, slander, or unreasonable behavior from friends or colleagues, the key is not to overreact. Instead, we should reflect deeply on why they might act that way and try to understand their feelings. An open heart, along with resilience, plays a critical role in daily life. Even harsh words can sometimes be seen as unintentional actions from the speaker. And if that's the case, why should we, as listeners, take it so personally? Letting go of unnecessary worries really can make life lighter and more joyful. Resilience helps us maintain calm and focus within, even when relationships become difficult. By nurturing this strength, we manage our emotions better, keep clarity in our thoughts, and preserve composure and effectiveness in all situations. My hope for both you and me is that in this ever-changing world, we can each find our own rhythm, that we can preserve inner peace and steady determination, that we can learn to let go of worries that don't matter and focus on the things that truly do, that we can face life's challenges with calmness and courage, and above all, that on this journey of self-discovery and self-improvement, we will continue to grow, becoming stronger, more confident, and more fulfilled than ever before.